the Know Your Gear podcast.
It's on the Behringer copy lawsuit. Oh, man, the fight of all fights. If you guys didn't hear, Behringer pedals made a clone pedal, which is crazy because, well, first let's start with this. I'm excited to hear that finally, after all these years, somebody finally decided to clone a clone. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, you never see that, right? I mean, no one's ever done it before. But Behringer did it. So Behringer pedal, Centaur, overdrive. Here we go. This will tell us everything. It's still available on Sweetwater, kids. All right, let's take a look at this. So here's what we have. We have the Klon Centaur Overdrive. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, obviously, look. It's oddly enough, I think that's not where the output jacks really go. I thought they were spaced wider apart than that. Anyways, you can tell this is a pretty intense copy. Let's take a look at a real Klon, right? I typed real Klon pedal like that. Oh, yeah. For those that are interested in why I'm laughing, is because when you type in real Klon pedal, the Behringer Overdrive came up first, and then the Centaur Message came up. That's kind of funny. All right, let's take a look at this. 4,000. This one, is this real at $4,000? I thought they were up to $8,000 now. I thought everybody. Oh, this is at Guitar Center. Oh, we should buy this. Look, vintage 1990s Klon Centaur pedal. This is a real one for $4,500. I say we buy it. I say you guys all super chat me $5,500 right now. By the way, please, I couldn't imagine you guys do that. Please don't do that. Please don't. I'll tell you right now, even if I got $5,000 right now in super chats, I would not buy this pedal. I would give probably 90% of it to charity because there's just no way. I can't do it. It's too crazy for me, even for me. For $5,000, there's just real things in life I could buy that I care about. So anyways, like giving it to charity, I guess. So here's the real deal. Oh, I guess the jacks are closer. I had one, original one years and years ago. I sold mine for $1,500. I should be upset, but I bought it for $350. So I was like, I don't know. And I had a copy that I liked almost as much. I always felt like the Klon was bigger sounding, like fuller, right? Like it had a little bit more warmth in the mids, the upper mids and stuff. And I was like, oh, I like that. And I was like, but do I like it? $1,500? No, there's no way. Okay, so back to this. So I get it, man. Looking at this thing, it's pretty nuts. They really ripped it off. Okay, so obviously this one's missing the dude. Let's go back. This guy, the Centaur. So Centaur Overdrive. What I'm doing, so you guys know, is I'm looking at them not as a quote unquote, expert of gear, but as a consumer going, okay, am I confused? Because that's what this all matters to. I've told you guys before, I'll go on my tirade as I always do about this. Looking at this is the real one. This is the fake. Oh, it's funny. The fake, they used a different knob. Usually when they go for the Klon, the real one, they usually use the real knobs. So Behringer did the fake knobs. Obviously the gold is a little different. I mean, it's tough. Here's why. I own a clone. I own this one. I own the Raya, right? Hold on a second. Which model do I have? No, I have. That's the right one, I think. Ryra. Rutro. Come on. I'm right. That's the model. So does Sweetwater not carry this model? Come on, Sweetwater. Nope, they don't. All right, let's find one on the... So here is the clone I have right here. It's at the Chicago Music Exchange. I mean, okay. So things I noticed, I'm going back and forth, is that the real one has that shape. It's a very distinguishable shape, right? This little, where these bumps come out here. I always thought that was a pretty unique shape, having these pop outs right here. I guess that's what I would call them, right? So it looks like this is like a formed mold where the Ryra clone overdrive is just the standard box that we're used to seeing. Obviously, it uses the gold. Those are definitely looks like the knobs are almost identical to the clone. And it's tough for me. And this is a really interesting thing. I've thought about it briefly this week. I gave it a few minutes thought when somebody was talking about it on the patron side. Trying to get back to the main thing. What do I think about them suing Behringer for copying it? I mean, it looks pretty blatantly copied, and I could see where if you're not informed, you could be confused. Hold on a second. I want to look at one last thing, and I'll show it to you guys. I'll tell you what I don't like. I'm going to tell you the thing that I don't like, okay? This is what I don't like about this Behringer Centaur Overdrive. I don't like that it doesn't say Behringer in big letters on it, right? This is the part I don't like. So obviously this old pedal that we're looking at, all the lettering pretty much got worn off. I get that, right? Klon, Centaur. See, to me, I see Klon, I see Centaur. I come back to the Behringer, I see Centaur. I don't see Klon, but I see Centaur. I believe, and I remember, not an attorney, not even close, okay? But I've said this before, and I'll say it I haven't changed yet. I don't know if I'm ever going to change. I believe trademarks are to protect consumers. I really don't care about companies. I want to lock down other companies or do other things. I've got a lot of flack for this. I've had small companies reach out to me and say, Phil, I spent years developing a product and somebody knocks me off and you don't care. I'm like, I care, but I care more about the consumer, and you should too, because at the end of the day, I can tell you right now, if you got a lot of product and it's great, but no customers, you go bankrupt. If you got a lot of customers and no product, you'll be fine. You'll find product. Customers are the most expensive thing. And everybody says no until they can't find a customer. Okay. And so my point to this is, you want to take care of the customers, right? And you want to protect the customers. That's what it's supposed to happen. So the trademark is supposed to say it's supposed to protect customers. So a customer doesn't buy this Behringer pedal believing they bought the real thing. And I know some of you are laughing like, oh, you can get the real thing for $70. Look, people, sometimes you get a deal, you don't know. But the point is the consumer confused? And as crazy as this sounds, and it's probably going to be controversial because what isn't in this day and age? Even though I have the Ryra pedal, I think the Ryra pedal doesn't confuse me. I look at that pedal and I don't think that's a Klon. I don't think I would think that's a Klon. Like if somebody came up to me and said, I have this pedal and I plugged into it. So here's what I mean by this. Like, let me give you a scenario, okay? Just a scenario. I go to jam with some friends. I plug into a pedal, and it's a Klon pedal, a real one. And I go, wow, this sounds amazing. And I leave the jam and I go, I got to have that pedal. And I go online. Do I look at this pedal and think, oh, that's the pedal, right? I mean, you could, but I mean, I don't really think it's exactly the same. I mean, maybe if I'm not really detail oriented, maybe I think generically it's like this, kind of like it. And somebody's making up a point right now. I'll get to it in 1 second. My point is where I think the Behringer one, it's a little like that is just a little too much. Now, somebody mentioned the warm pedal ones. So let's take a look. And hold on, I have a second part that's going to kind of tie into this because before any of you get too nuts about this. Because I have a caveat that I have to get to. Okay, so here's the come on, what is going on here? Why is Sweetwater? Okay, so here's the warm audio pedal. Same thing, but it says WA right there. I know I'm kind of nitpicking here. Plus, this looks a little different to me, but it still has the pop outs. I would say this is dangerously close. I mean, obviously, look, that one's even funnier because it looks like the KTR. But anyways, so I mean, I would put them in the same area too. I would say this is too close in my opinion, right? As I'm not an attorney, like I'm just saying, like I can't be an attorney, right? So, but I can be a juror. That's how I look at this. Like if I got jury duty and I was in a court case and this is the court case that's being presented to me, And they said, "Sir, do you play guitar?" And I said, "Yeah." "You think you know a thing about guitar?" "Yeah, I think I know a thing or two guitar." "Okay, so you think you could honestly give an opinion about these two products and see if one infringe on the other's trademark?" "Sure, I think I could." Right? Okay, cool. So like looking at it as a person, I'd be like, yeah, I think they look a lot alike, and I think they look too close alike, and I can see where a new player or a younger player, somebody's not really super into clones and knows all the details of all the years and all the things, but confused, and maybe that's too much. However, I would imagine then one of the attorneys, probably for Behringer, would say, "But did you know that Klon really doesn't even make pedals really anymore?" And I'd be like, and there's a lot of people knocking them off. I'd be like, "Oh, so do you think he, what do you think now?" So I can give you two answers and be honest on those two answers, which is I think the Behringer and the Warm, looking at them, audio pedals are too close. I think they're too close looking. They went too far, right? It's kind of like when I say, look, copy the Les Paul, but not the headstock, right? Something's got to identify it, especially the brand logo. The brand should be on there the most. I've said this before. I've used this analogy many times. I walked up to if you don't know anything about pickup trucks, you walk up to a Dodge and a Chevy, and they both look like big trucks. But the big distinguishable thing is the Chevy logo and the Dodge logo. That helps you, like, oh, that's Dodge because it's got a Dodge logo. That helps me distinguish it. So the logos do help distinguish the differences, where I think the Behringer guys didn't. It should say Behringer on there. That would just not, to me, being a person who can read almost, I would go, oh, Behringer. Right? And anyways, but if somebody said, yeah, but, Klon's not really using, not really building pedals, is that very fair? I don't know if that's very fair. I would probably say yes to both. In other words, I think if they're not making the pedals, I think other people should be able to, and they shouldn't be able to stop them. And I think that if they are making pedals and they're saying they're too close, I think that's too close. That's my opinions on that. So I don't know. Would there be anything that makes me not want to buy the Behringer or the Warm pedal? No, I'd buy them fine. Because again, I don't see them as, I told you guys, I'm very, very, very specific on this. I don't care. I don't care if a company knocks off another company's product, as long as they're not trying to what's the term? Not fake. There's another term. Counterfeit. Counterfeit to me is different. Like, give an example. If somebody makes monopoly money to make a game, that's monopoly money. Okay, but if somebody counterfeits a $100 bill and tries to hand it to me as real money, and then I give them my pedal in a parking lot of Craigslist, and I have now a fake $100 bill, that is fraud. They tricked me. That's a totally different thing than right. If it was monopoly money and I'm like, well, obviously this isn't real. This is very okay. I think this is a crazy person handing me monopoly money. So this is my point. The same thing with products. If I can distinguish the difference of the products, I really don't care how close they get, as long as I can, or I think the average person can. I think that's very fair. But again, I know it's very nuanced and there's more to it, and you can really get intense in this. And the only way you could really do this on the YouTube is if you get 5 different personalities and we just fight it out for 2 hours while you guys all watch. And of course, we would accomplish nothing and everybody would just see a good debate. But ultimately, that's how I feel. So that's why I say, like, when I show a company and they make a copy of a Gibson, but it has a different headstock and it says Firefly on it, I'm like, I don't care. Let them do it. I don't care. But if I see a Chinese, I'm just picking that Chinese knockoff guitar that says Gibson on it, I'm not happy about that, because that Gibson logo, that makes it counterfeit to me. That makes it to where you're not just trying to be, you're not inspired by the product. You're not making something like the product. You're not improving the product. And by improving, meaning you can also make the product cheaper, more obtainable. You can make it more quality. You're just trying to trick someone, and I don't like that. So that's because, again, I always think of it from the consumer. I want the consumer protected. Deja says chip clones. Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm really, really curious to see how this, not how the court case goes, just how the internet, fights this out. And I'm also interested to see what particularly the Behringer did. What is it that triggered the? I wonder if it was simple as Behringer made this, and because they're going to make so many, obviously at that price point, there's going to be tens of thousands of them. Maybe that was the wake up call for Klon to go, hey, we gotta cease and desist this. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. And I'm conflicted. Klon made the original one, and he made something quality, and Behringer's is knocking stuff off. It's hard to root for one of these people. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't really like that there's a pedal out there that's $5,000 for almost no freaking reason, and that is another argument, right? Somebody's going to go, oh no, there's a reason, Phil. They sound great. A lot of things sound great. They don't have to be $4,000, $5,000, right? They're $5,000 because they're hard to get. That's why they're $5,000. A Klon is make no mistake. And I could argue anyone with anyone. Just come on, we'll fight it out. This pedal that I'm pointing at right now, this original Klon pedal, is not $5,000 because it sounds great. It's $5,000 because you can't get one. That's different. So the Rhett Shaw did a video that I thought was amazing, and I would put it in my top 10 videos of all time when it comes to a comment that he made. He said, and I'm going to paraphrase the quote, so it'll be slightly off. He was talking about Dumble amps, and he said, imagine if Jim Marshall. So I want you to imagine, I'm going to kind of say it in my own words, if you don't mind, but I want you to know it was inspired by Rhett Shaw. Imagine Jim Marshall makes the Plexi, okay? And think about that, right? Think about the Plexi. And Jimi Hendrix plays the Plexi. And, insert your favorite iconic rock bands like Led Zeppelin plays the Marshall Plexi. But he, instead of making lots of them, and then JCM 100s are, and then JCM 900s in 2000, instead, he just tweaks each Marshall a little bit. So if you got the money and the credibility, you're Slash, you get a JCM 100, but it's really just modded up for you. Imagine if Jim Marshall took the Dumble business model, how much Marshalls would be worth right now? How crazy. So a Marshall could be literally a Plexi in no stretch of any imagination. A Plexi head could be easily worth $100,000 right now if only select rich musicians could afford them, because Jim Marshall only made a few, right? It's a hard argument, right? I'm not even arguing whether or not they're good or not. Obviously, I like Dumbles. I got a Dumble clone myself. But I'm just saying that's what's interesting about those arguments. It's like, is a Dumble $100,000 because it's the greatest sounding amp? And everybody's like, I don't know, it doesn't sound that great. And I'm like, well, I don't think it's because it's $100,000 because it's the greatest sounding amp. It's $100,000 because you can find a Plexi in 5 seconds right now. You try to find a Dumble, it's very hard. You'll find one or two, and they'll be $100,000 or $50,000. So again, I'm not super interested in stuff that's expensive just for the sake of the fact that they didn't make a lot of it. And by the way, and I don't have a problem with anyone who can afford to buy that. Just enjoy your life. It's your money. I'm a very big proponent for spend the money, like I said, however you see fit. You earned it.
So if you like this clip and you'd like to watch another one, you can click right here. And if you want to see the entire episode of the podcast, you can click right there. As always, thank you for your time and know your gear.